show, and she came on and did a great job, so yeah.
How was that for you, like, coming into the show during that period? Because, I mean, basically, you're coming in on the tail season of season 3, and then boom, Zio. So how was that for you?
So I didn't know Power Rangers. I was a college student. I didn't watch television. I just knew that it was a job and an opportunity, and I wanted it. So I didn't know that I was going to be the Yellow Power Ranger. They actually, when I auditioned for the role, they said it was a series regular and I was supposed to wear yellow, but they didn't say I was going to be a Ranger. So I didn't even know that I was replacing Karan. I just saw it as an opportunity. I was excited. I was studying theater, film, and television, so to be blessed with a job before I actually graduated was a blessing, a complete blessing. And I didn't mind being thrown to the wolves because I felt like my character was very strong and could take it all.
So when y'all finally actually crossed paths, I mean, how was that meeting? Was it just seamless?
Yeah. I mean, I knew I'd seen a picture of her with my friend Catherine. So I was like, I knew of her, and we were at an audition.
I think it was on audition.
We were like at an audition, and I mean, it's like all love. Like anytime I meet anybody who's been on Power Rangers, I feel like if you've worn the spandex, then we're in the family.
Yeah, huge
we belong
family.
to a special club.
Yes.
So yeah, and so it's one of those things where I was very happy to meet her, and I was go Black women.
Yeah. No love lost at all. I mean, now we're business partners. So, yeah, we own our own convention. So, praise God.
What got both of you two into acting? Like, did you just wake up and say, hey, I want to be an actor, or was there other things that you wanted to do before finally, dipping into the acting business?
Oh, yeah, I think so. I mean, I have pictures of myself like 3 years old, and I have a microphone. I'm like, so I wanted to do it from the moment I knew you could even do that. Like, I think I went to, I think it was kindergarten, and we went to the local news station, and we got to sing like Christmas carols. And when I saw myself on TV, I was like, that's what I'm gonna do. I don't know how, when, where, what, but I'm gonna do that one day. So yeah, I mean, ever since I was a little kid, I've always been the family performer. So
I would say the same thing. I always said I was going to be an actress, singer, dancer, model, and a cashier.
Oh, wow.
wow.
I like a cashier. Yes, I like to hit those buttons. But yeah, I used to perform in the living room of perform for my parents, and I forced my brother to perform with me. I used to watch the Carol Burnett show and do these little skits inside the living room, and the rest is, I just always love to entertain. I like to make people laugh, and yeah, I always knew that's what I was gonna do.
Yeah, one of the biggest things for me, like as a fan watching the show, is like every season of Power Rangers, particularly with like Black characters, you never felt like they were very stereotyped or put into like a box as being this character. And knowing how the show business is, it would have been easy for them to be like, all right, we're going to take your character and how she is, and we're just going to transfer it over to Tanya, and that's who she's going to be. But they didn't. And
they tried.
Oh,
they
really did?
They did. Like when I first got on the show, they were like, okay, so you're going to dance, because like Walter Zach, he danced, and I was like, no, I think he's already done that. Let's do something different. I think Aisha should be different. And they didn't want me to be like Trini, but they did kind of want me to be like, they were kind of wanting me to be like Zach. And I was like, no, that's cool. I think I can do my own thing. I think we need to be separate, And so luckily, I don't know where I got the nerve to say that, but luckily they listened.
yeah, because I mean, for your character, Tanya, she came in, like you said, thrown to the wolves, but it felt like she also, over the time period of Zio especially, she had like a character arc. So were both of you two involved in like the character process and then writing and the creatives process?
Well, for my seasons, they actually came and asked me questions about my own life, and they implemented it in some of the episodes. So the singing episode, they heard me singing in my dressing room, so they made a couple of episodes of that. I used to play baseball with the boys, and so they made the Rangers in the outfield. So they implemented a lot of my own characteristics into the character of Tanya. So I appreciated that.
Yeah, I mean, I think they didn't really ask, like, they kind of, when we got on the show, we were like, we were working immediately. And then we went and shot the movie immediately. And so it was like, it was just go, go, go. But as far as like, they used to just always say, what would you do? You're a teenager, you actually are, this age. And I would give them that input as far as like, I would never say that. I would try to not wear the yellow bobby socks. They didn't listen. I was like, teenagers don't wear yellow bobby socks, but they didn't listen to me. But I mean, they kind of gave you the script and we brought it to life as far as like, I wanted to be as authentic, and I just graduated high school, so I felt like I'll just kind of be myself, so yeah, a really happier version of myself.
So both of y'all had actually, ironically enough, both of y'all had your respective Power Ranger movies and such. So what was kind of the atmosphere like, going through with the filming process and also the promotion of the film?
Well, mine was much different than her experience. She got like an A+ budget. We had like the project budget. As I found out, we were in a panel together, and they did it, Talk about yours, and then I'll let you go.
Well, sorry. No, when we got on the show, like, we literally signed the contract, and when we signed, they said, you're gonna be doing the TV show, but in 6 weeks, we're gonna send you to Australia because we're shooting a big blockbuster movie. And 20th Century Fox came in and they produced the movie, and it was like, I mean, they rolled out all the stops. They wanted bigger command center, more amazing costumes, everything was bigger and better. And so we were a part of this really, it was like a whirlwind machine. We were supposed to go there and shoot it in 3 months, and we ended up staying there for 6 months. And we shot it in Sydney, Australia. But they brought on Paul Freeman, who was famous for Raiders of the Lost Ark, to be Ivan Ooze, and and they brought on, I mean, it was they just spared no expense. There was when we were fighting the ooze monsters, that originally wasn't in the script. We were actually fighting rats or bears. It was the worst. It was like a costume, but
y'all did fight rats eventually in the show that same season.
Well, they used it. They used those costumes because it was too cheesy for the movie. They were these are rat costumes, and they don't look scary. It looks like teddy bears running around. Seriously. And so they started brainstorming on the spot because they had to change it. And someone said, well, why wouldn't he have an army of ooze guys that look like him? And that was brilliant. And so then they were and why, when they kick them, they should splat up against the wall. So it kind of was interesting to see how things could just change, and we would do certain things. I think people have seen pictures where we have no mouthpiece. And that was kind of just a screen test, and they wanted it to be where you saw more of us, you saw us in the costume as opposed to just seeing a costume. But it was 1994, and obviously special effects weren't that great, so it didn't look that good on the screen test, so then they changed it up. So it was really cool. And then we went on a big, huge promotional tour and got to do the hand and footprint. So it was, the movie actually is probably my fondest memory because that was big Hollywood budget and big this, and then we went back to the TV show, which was notoriously cheap and no budget blues. But I think that's what kind of made Power Rangers popular, because it was cheap, cheesy, I'd say rated G with extra cheese. But so that was my movie experience. What was yours like?
So then they were like, well, you know what? We're not going to spend that much for Turbo because we spent a few million for this one. So we had 6 weeks of stunt training. We didn't do a promotional tour. I think Kat and I got to go to Chicago. Yay. We didn't have trailers. We would be changing in the same room together. Oh, wow. Actually, Kat and JDF, when they filmed, they took them. I was the only one that didn't go out of town, by the way. Everybody went to Hawaii for one scene. Johnny got to go to Hawaii. Kat and Jason got to go to Tennessee. They were changing in the car, and this is a feature. And actually, they have no security. Complete different. No security. So they're changing.
Totally different.
They're changing in the back seat, and this guy comes to the window and he's like, I think it's her. I think that's her. So they had no security, butt naked inside of it was just a completely different experience. Our director got fired after 6 weeks.
I'm telling you, Saban does things in a certain way. and we, like they were
Somebody gonna do what
notoriously cheap.
So the executive producer ended up becoming the director, and I have to say, David Winning, who was the original director, we had some really amazing scenes that never made it into the feature. Once they fired him, they took out we had this beautiful campfire scene. You got a chance to it felt like a real movie where you got to really experience the characters and understand their relationships and all of that left when he left. Yeah, so, yeah, I think you guys had like $5 million budget. We probably had $175,000. But I wouldn't take it back because, it was my first feature and I was so excited to be, see my fat face on the screen. It was great. It was great. I wouldn't take it back. It was an experience, so.
So what's the experience filming Power Rangers in California, just in all the different locations and stuff? 'Cause I've been to a couple of them, and it's like, wow, I remember this from this show. So what was that experience like for you two, just being out there?
Well, what a lot of people don't know is we didn't really go on location a lot. Like, we shot in the soundstage, and the soundstage was in Valencia, California, and it was like, one section of it was the classroom, and so you'd see all the classroom stuff. Then another section was the hallway, and then there was a juice bar and the command center. And then we'd go to the park and shoot. And every now and then, we'd go somewhere like Bronson Caves, or we'd go somewhere where they needed like a different scene. But most of it was just shot on the soundstage. But like you've seen, like the exterior of the command center, it's like I think it's a monastery.
So like an actual
Jewish,
church.
Yeah, it's like a church, a Jewish church or something like that. So it's like I've never been there. Like I've never been on the outside of it. I've only seen it in pictures, but yeah, like there's a lot of really cool places that they would shoot the exteriors and then they would come into the soundstage. So.
What about you?
Same. We were notoriously shooting at Castaic Lake, Griffith Park, and Bronson Caves. A couple times we were in the desert. That was no fun. 120 degrees in spandex. Woo!
Yeah, it was awful.
Our stunt guys were champions because they would put on, they were all Japanese men, no women, pretending to be women. But they would be fighting with these helmets on. There's not a lot of ventilation, and as soon as they would take their helmet off, you would just see water pour out. It was all of their sweat.
Yeah. I mean, when you see cosplayers, like you guys see, they take their helmets and mask off and they're completely drenched. That's how we were. But of course, when it was on the TV show, we'd take it off and be like, hey, totally made up and perfect. But real life, the poor stunt guys and girls, we had girls. I think in season 2, we had 2 female. And in the movie, we had 2 female stunt doubles. But like she said, by season 3, we had a whole Japanese team that were amazing. But they went through hell and back in those costumes. And the monster costumes, they were also putties, they were monsters, they were everything, so.
I mean, it's definitely a noticeable thing. Like, hindsight, looking back on it's like, so they only had 6 putty patrollers, but it looked like it was about like 20.
30, yeah. It was the same 6 guys fighting all of us.
I know for you, there's a couple episodes that maybe I'm looking too deep. Were they originally trying to get you and Adam together, like, oh yeah, you and Johnny,
yes.
Were they really trying to make you guys a couple, or am I reading too much?
I think they were alluding to that, but they never followed through because I felt like their focus was mainly Kat and Tommy. And so, whoever Tommy was with is who they kind of focused on. It was with Kimberly and Tommy, and then Kat and Tommy, and then, no. So yeah, I think they alluded to it, but they never followed through.
Would you have liked to see them actually follow through on it?
Of course, that would have been great. That would have been great. It would have been different, focusing on yellow and what color was he then?
Interracial relationship. That'd be amazing.
Yeah, that would have been great. Johnny was green, yeah, so green and yellow, that would have been great. Green and yellow go together well, don't they?
Yeah. Melanin, very well. What made you decide you wanted to actually leave Power Rangers?
It was, obviously the show was amazing. We had fun. We did a lot of cool stuff, but we worked for terrible people, There were, a lot of people have heard the rumors of just the hostile work environment, or just, I don't know, it was just one of those things. I'd had a lot of situations that, you know, they just didn't want to pay you for certain days that you worked, or they wanted you to work all this time. I mean, it was just crazy. And so at that point, I had done the movie, I did 2 seasons, and I said, you know what? I think that's enough. So for me personally, I just told my agent, you know, can I get off the show? And luckily they were fine with it, and you know, I went on to do other things. But yeah, I mean, for me, it was just, for me personally, I just couldn't work like that anymore.
I mean, did you also have that kind of same situation, or was it like different for you?
No, mine was different again. Ours was the ghetto version again. So what had happened, Johnny came to work one day and had seen a newspaper article with an open call for Power Rangers while we were still on the show.
Let's see, hostile work environment. They were terrible. Like
Yeah.
that's terrible.
Yeah.
Terrible thing to experience.
Yeah, and so we were like, is that for us? Like, what? So what was going on was, as Karan mentioned, there were Power Rangers that were, you know, Steve left because he asked for a raise and asked for a raise for all of us, and so he was out. Then David Yost walked off the set, and Jason Frank said he was ready to go. And I think they had gotten to a point where they were tired of replacing, this is what I'm told, they were tired of replacing one individual person, so they start replacing the whole team. So if you notice, after us, which I think they should have just kept us through Turbo, the new group came in and then they left after Space, but it was always a team that they kept replacing. So yeah, we found out from a newspaper article, and I actually had confronted one of the producers and completely lied to me in my face, and I was just looking at her. And we're friends now because we've talked about this situation. Because I was like, she was like, I was in a situation for my job and I couldn't tell you guys the truth. And yeah, it was a lot of stuff happening behind the scenes. And we ended up, you know, eventually getting replaced, and then the new Turbo team came in, and yeah, so no, we didn't ask to leave. But Jason Frank was ready to leave, and they decided they were going to replace the entire team without telling us first.
Yeah, they're so nice, aren't they?
Let's brighten up the mood here. So
Welcome to Hollywood, guys.
Yeah.
Welcome to Hollywood.
Yeah.
So being on the convention scene, is it kind of like, I guess your first time coming to conventions for the first time, was it kind of like jarring to see like there was so many people coming out to see you guys like at conventions, or did y'all already expect that?
No, I mean, I didn't even know what a convention was. I started actually doing conventions like 15 years ago. And so I had no idea what Comic-Con was. I mean, I'd seen like, you know, like you see like Star Wars or something. And so I had no idea what it was. And I just remember that Steve Cardenas and Jason Frank called me, and they were like, you need to come to a con. Because I guess the promoter wanted, you know, 2 guys, but he wanted a Girl Ranger as well. And so they found me, but I had no idea. And I was like, do they even know who we are? Like, I just was like, I couldn't imagine that people were still into Power Rangers. And was I wrong? I mean, we get there and it was like a 6-hour wait, you know? People were just waiting in line, and it was crazy. And that was my first glimpse into this world. And I had no idea that we would, 30 years later, still be talking about Power Rangers. And like, it's so relevant. Our fandom's amazing because it's so relevant to all of our fans, and they love it. They've never given up on the show. Like, they literally, you know, that childhood experience sticks with them. So, I mean, we're super blessed. It's crazy. It's crazy to think about it.
Same. Everybody remember what MySpace is?
Yeah.
Yeah, MySpace. Yeah.
So I remember someone messaged me on MySpace and asked me about attending a con. They were like, Nakia, when are you going to come to a con? People are dressing like you. And I was like, dressing like, what, they looking through my window? What is a con? Like, I didn't know. I had no idea. And I was like, what is it? What is that? And I was like, what do you mean dressing like me? And so I'm, you know, on MySpace. And so my first con, I remember going to it, I think it was a Friday I went, and there were people in my line, and I remember calling Kat, and I was like, Kat, they know who we are. I'm just so confused. Like, because you know, when we were on Power Rangers, there was no social media. In order to contact us, we were getting letters in the mail. That's the only way. So I had no idea the impact that Power Rangers had on people, and I've learned that attending comic conventions. And even though we've both been blessed to work beyond Power Rangers, we've done a slew of things since Power Rangers, it always comes back to Power Rangers. Always. And I'm very grateful.
I mean, even you doing Danger Force, like, I gotta talk about that real quick. Because it's one of those things where you channel surf and you just trip and fall. It's like, is that Kia Burrise? Like, all right, like, I see you, I've seen you in commercials too, like, just randomly. And I'm like, okay, she's still working, like, she's still out here. So, how did you get on Danger Force? Like, how did that whole...
Well, I auditioned right before COVID. So Danger Force is a spin-off of Henry Danger on Nickelodeon. And so I played the mother to two superhero twins. I've come full circle, guys. It has been an absolute blast. The two kids that play my children, Dana, who's my daughter, her mother used to watch Power Rangers. And I had no idea when I was at the table read, they came up and gave me a hug, and I found out when we were filming, her mom came up, we're really good friends now, and she was like, oh my gosh, she was crying, and I started crying, and I was like, oh, she was like, oh my gosh, I used to watch you, and now you're playing my daughter's mom, and we're all together. It was so cute. And that's, again, the impact of Power Rangers. Like, I had no idea. So, yeah, I've been on there 3 seasons. I'm a recurring character, and we're waiting to see if it's going to come back for a 4th season.
Yeah, I mean, the full circle nature of that show is like, because it's always, you always wait for a show to be kind of like Power Rangers, and like Henry Danger? Yeah, Henry Danger, and then Danger Force being that kind of equivalent is actually pretty amazing to actually see. So, for you, projects and stuff, I think last time I talked to you, you said you were doing a lot of writing. How is that writing process for you in terms of just whatever project you try to get into?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. I love doing it because it's a way of being creative. It's just a different way of being creative. And I always encourage people, if you're creative, I mean, you could, like most people who are creative, they do more than one thing. So they act, they might dance, they might paint, so for me, I write, and for me, creating characters and just imagining these people coming to life is just exciting, so yeah, no, I've been writing and doing, and we're pitching a television series, and so it's never ending, and we'll just see what happens.
Yeah, how did you guys build up this kind of Ranger camaraderie? Because, whether it's Rain Stop or Power Morphin, it feels like whenever you see everybody from different seasons, and it feels like a big, happy family in a way. So how's that, especially at Power Morphin, like how's that experience for you two guys at those conventions?
It's great. Whenever we have a new season come in, we just welcome more children into the family. And sometimes cousins can be rowdy, like you got those great cousins that you just love, and other ones you want to spank. That's our family. That's the Power Ranger family, right?
Basically. Yeah. No, it's been it's fantastic. And like you said, Power Morphin kind of got it started where it would just be, that was just a Comic-Con that was centered just around Power Rangers. And then we were thinking, we do a ton of shows, and there are a ton of cities and a ton of countries that we go to, but there's only like a few of us who go. They usually only bring a couple people, and so we were at New York Comic-Con one year, and our friend, he does Ranger Stop in Orlando, and he'd been doing it for quite a number of years. And I was like, we should do another city. We should do another, there's room for that. And we kind of went back and forth, and we ended up picking Atlanta. And we started doing Ranger Stop and Pop, which we co-own. And it was just one of those things where, again, I was like, we're doing all of these cons, but we have no skin in the game. So as businesswomen and man, we should own this. We should do it. And it's been great. We've been able to, we're going on our 5th year. And yeah, we just had our 4th year, and it was the attendance was crazy, and we had, and we bring a variety of people from Power Rangers to anime voice actors to pop culture actors, and we just have a really fun weekend. And our thing is we want it to feel like you've come to a family reunion. We want it to feel intimate. We want it to feel great. And it's like BlerdCon, where we're at a hotel and you just come downstairs, and so literally people plan their whole weekend. They come to Atlanta, they spend it with us, and we just have a good time, and we're able to bring, our cast members, and they're able to, do a show in Atlanta, because most of them have never even done a show in Atlanta, so it's just amazing. So yeah, but we're planning our 2024 show as we speak. We're signing contracts very soon, so.
So look forward to June 21st through the 23rd in Atlanta.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, when we talk about black.
New location also. Stay tuned.
Really, just coming in hot.
We every year we try to upgrade, and so we upgrading this year, next year. Stay tuned to the socials. We'll be posting soon.
When we talk about black representation in media, I always liked that Power Rangers was pretty much at the forefront because it felt very just natural. They just did it, and I think that's probably what Saban's mandate was: have that big, hey, this is people from all walks of life coming together to save the world and such. So, how has that been for you two guys to actually be at the forefront of black representation, especially for black women, when they see you two and it's like, oh, I watched them when I was growing up and they were out here kicking ass and taking names. Like, all right, cool. So, how's that? Because you mentioned the whole thing when you were on Danger Force, the mom seeing you. So, how's that been for you two?
Go ahead. Go. You go. No, you go.
You go. Come on.
You know what? It's crazy because back then, she kind of brought this up. When we booked the job, it was like, oh, I find you're a starving artist. You're not. We were pounding the pavement. So to book a TV show and then to get a movie, it was like, oh my God, I'm fulfilling my dream as an actor. So I didn't even think about it in that respect. I just was so excited to be able to do what I loved and what I was dreaming of doing. It wasn't until later that people were like, you're the first, black female superhero, or you look like me, and that was important. And I was like, damn, that is important. But it never occurred to me that, I just thought, oh, there have been other black actresses, but I never thought about the impact that it was for young black, girls and boys to see us as heroes and to see us on that show. So that's kind of one of the blessings of the Comic-Con world, is when I started doing cons, I really got to see you guys, and you guys have grown up. You're no longer kids. So, every day, every weekend, we come to a show and people tell us how important that was and how it changed their life. And it just blows me away, because that's just the blessing that's kind of the gift that I get, from you guys. So, it's crazy. I'm glad. I'm happy to be a part of that and to share that legacy. And I'm glad that Saban was forward-thinking enough to know that every kid needed someone that looked like them to be a superhero. How important is that?
Ditto. No, I really, it's ditto, and it's true. We didn't have social media back then, so we didn't really know what the impact was. It wasn't until we start doing comic conventions that we hear the stories. We hear your stories. I remember, and this wasn't Power Rangers. This was because I play a black Barbie doll named Nikki, and I was at a convention, and this little girl, 12 years old. She wasn't that her family loved Power Rangers, but she was not a Power Ranger fan. But when she found out that I had played Nikki and that the black Barbie doll was voiced by a black character, she started crying. And so I started crying. So we just sat there crying together. But that meant so much. That meant so much. And I didn't even realize how much it meant. So it means everything. To answer that, it means everything to see. We hear stories all the time of people saying, when I saw you on screen, it made me feel like I could do anything. You did it, I could do it, and that's what we're there for.
Crazy, right? Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, that's the big thing. Selwyn, when he came in as TJ, after you guys, to see a first black Red Ranger, it's like
leader, right?
Leader.
Yeah.
That was a big deal. As a kid, I didn't think about that until you grow up, and it's like, hold on. Yeah, the first black leader. Oh, wow.
And thank God they were, and I honestly think because they weren't from America, they were from, Israel, and they were kind of, European or Middle Eastern, and they didn't have the social injustice constraints that are put on, in America, and they were forward enough to think no, we needed to be a diverse cast, and they were adamant about that. And they always wanted it to be two females, and they always wanted it to be, where each person throughout the season would save the day. And you gotta think about it, even these were things we didn't talk about, but it was the smart guy saved the day, the jock, the girl next door, the sassy, it was everybody was represented. So it's just very cool. And like she said, it's hard to, like, every day producers would be like, we're #1 in the world, and we're like, yay, what does that mean? Because there was no social media, so it wasn't like you even knew what that meant. But it wasn't until we traveled the world and went to cons, and you meet people who can't speak English, but they can sing the Power Ranger theme song word for word. And you go, wow, we were #1 in the world. Like, it's crazy.
What was the funniest moment? I mean, that's probably a very broad, like, question. So
Just one?
We'll break it to one season here. So I guess for you, like, what was the funniest moment on Zio? And what was kind of the funniest moment for you on your season?
There's too many to count.
It's like a top one that you just know off the top of your head.
I mean, it's the thing. We were teenagers. Like, our cast was actually, like, me, Johnny, we were 18 years old. And then I think everyone else was like 20, 21. But I mean, we were young adults. So every day was funny because we were young adults. We were serious enough to get the job done, but we were silly enough to have fun. So every season. And then we had, Jason Frank on both of our seasons, and he's notoriously known as the class clown, and he was the prankster. And so he would always do something that I was like, one day he's gonna get fired, or he's gonna kill someone. Like, one of the two things are gonna happen because this guy is nuts. So, but yeah, we were always laughing, and luckily, I think because we had such contention with the producers that we got along. Like, we didn't fight with each other because we were too busy fighting them, but that made for beautiful friendships. So, there were a lot of funny moments. We can't pick one funny moment. What was the funniest moment in high school for you? Go. See, there's no way. That was like college for us. Like, Power Rangers was like college. It was like, what's the funniest moment? There's no way you could pick one.
I would say we had a lot of fun. Just to piggyback what Karan was saying, we had tons of fun. I just remember being on set, and I was just thinking about one of the more funny episodes that we did, which was another song and dance where Tommy and I were struck with the singing bug. He didn't want to sing. He was so afraid. He was like, I can't sing. And I was like, you don't have to be in tune. Just open your mouth. And when he opened his mouth, he wouldn't shut up. Seriously. The cameras would be off, and we'd be singing next to the craft service, and he'd be like, would you like a carrot? And I'd be like, no. We got on their nerves. We had so much fun that episode. We sang the entire day. So that was a lot of fun.
That's funny.
I mean, you did a Christmas-themed episode where you, like, broke down Kwanzaa. That was kind of like a big deal back then.
I forgot about that. Yeah, see, that's the thing. And it was July or June when we shot that episode.
They tried to make it look like it was Christmas that time.
And they put fake snow, like there was a snow machine. And we did such fun stuff. Like, and I remember there was like Santa Claus, and but it's weird because like sometimes I don't remember the episodes because it was like almost 30 years ago. So it's like, think about what you remember about almost 30 years ago. It's like very few and far between, but I'll see an episode and I'm like, dang, I do not remember doing that, but obviously I was there. And then it all comes back, like you're like, oh my God, I remember this, it's so great. So yeah, we had fun, lots of fun.
With it being the 30th anniversary of Power Rangers, did the both of y'all ever thought that this was gonna last as long as it did? Like, when, actually, this is a better question. When did you think it was gonna stop?
And then after we got off the show, I thought the world ended. Once I left, I thought it was done. No, I'm just joking.
I agree.
But you leave and like you go on with your life. Like, I didn't do a con until 15 years later. So when they called me, they MySpace me, Steve, and then he called me, and then Jason called me. I was like, what the, like, why would they want us to come? Like, there's so many things on TV, and they're like, no, you don't get it. And so, but yeah, no, Power Rangers is notoriously known for being cheesy, but I think that's why it stuck with you guys, It was so wholesome and cheesy, and the day we left, I thought Power Rangers I didn't even think it was still on TV.
Out of space, out of mind.
Yeah, for sure.
We left so greatly.
Abruptly. I'm gonna send you a condolence card. I'm gonna say I'm sorry. I have nothing to do with that, but I'm gonna apologize.
It's all good.
Can I apologize?
Yeah.
Y'all,
Sure.
Tell her you're sorry. There we go. She
It is all good. Because the first job I got after Power Rangers. I remember looking at my paycheck and I was like, oh my gosh, I made more in this one episode than I did in 3 episodes of Power Rangers.
Hold up. I did a commercial. It was a commercial for TGI Fridays. I made more in that 2-day shoot than I made for a whole month of Power Rangers.
Wow.
Yes. Notoriously cheap.
I mean, because it's funny because everybody has stories of like, oh, I got this check at the Power Rangers. It was crazy. And so, wow.
I got the check of the Power Rangers, and it was crazy. It was crazy.
It was crazy. Like, what they expect for me to do with this? I gotta eat. What is that?
Good thing in terms of the other jobs. Though,
I looked at my first check for Power Rangers, right? At the time, I was a student at UCLA. I was working at UCLA catering. I looked at my check. My eyes welled up with tears. And I was like, I made more at UCLA catering than I did on my first paycheck.
I believe it. Like, no, they were like, but think about this. This is what the horrificness was. They made $1 billion with a B the first year.
Whoa.
And they were so cheap, they would refuse to pay us what we rightfully earned as actors. And even to this day, they don't really give the actors credit for bringing these characters to life. And I'm like, look, I get it. You created the show. You guys are awesome. But we brought that shit to life. Like, you know what I'm saying? Aisha would not be, Tanya would not be Tanya if you didn't have people, you know, and all the actors. It wouldn't have been Power Rangers without us. So it's like, it's so crazy. But we fought to get more money. We fought to get paid. And then, you know, such is life.
Which is why I appreciate comic conventions, because you guys have kept Power Rangers going. And I will say thank you to Power Rangers for not stopping us from doing that, because legally they could be like, well, you can't do Power Rangers. You can't represent Power Rangers at a comic convention. So I appreciate that. And, you know, I learned a lot being on the show. I feel like God allowed me to go through that to become the person that I am. So I can't go back and reflect on all of that. It was what it was. God has given me opportunities since then, and I'm very grateful for where I am now. But hearing your guys' stories, what Power Rangers meant to you, how much our characters meant to you is everything.
Absolutely.
It just makes our time on Power Rangers even that more special because of you.
Yeah, I always credit you guys. I said, when I left the show, it was obviously contentious. And I just kind of like, it was in the rearview mirror. I went on to other things and was excited. But I fell back in love with Power Rangers when I met all of you, because all of you, I mean, you walk up to our table and you guys are 5 years old again. And it's like, so now I think of it very fondly. Like, I think of all the good times. I've let go of all the other stuff, but yeah.
I mean, both of you two got toys out on the market right now. How you feeling about your facial features? I guess with you, because your Zeo Ranger is out on the market and you have your full face and stuff, so how are you feeling about that?
It means a lot, because back in the 90s, if you look at our 90s toys, we look like men. We were like
We
this.
were men, they just painted our skin brown.
Darken the face a little bit and slick back our hair. I was like, yeah, that really does not look like me.
Yeah,
So
they've come a long way with the action figures, a long way.
at least we have more womanly features.
Yeah, right? Ooh, they did us dirty in the 90s.
Dirty.
I mean, did y'all ever pay attention to that period where Disney had Power Rangers? Like,
No.
oh, yeah.
I didn't watch the show.
I didn't watch it either. Yeah.
so
So that
we even watched it.
Yeah, and you were asking us about some of the episodes. I was going to tell you that we would film 3 episodes in 10 days. And in one day, we would be filming those 3 different episodes. We just got the sides. I don't remember ever getting a full script, except the movie. So we would be given sides that day, and so we'd be switching. So we never knew what episode we were filming. We just knew that they needed to film everything that was in the command center for those 3 episodes, everything that's in Ernie's Juice Bar. So if we didn't go back and look at the episodes, which I rarely did, then I didn't even know what was going on. Like, I'd have to puzzle piece it all together. But when I left Power Rangers, it was not. I remember the last episode, Kat and I were crying. If you ever go back and you watch Turbo, we were crying because we just didn't know. We had become a family, so we didn't know if we were going to see our cast Again, we didn't have social media. We had pagers, so we could page each other's hello. You know, turn it upside down. Those special notes. So, yes. So we were really brokenhearted. I remember sitting inside the trailer and just really sad because I didn't know what the next day was going to bring. So when I left that day, I did not watch Power Rangers again until I started Power Rangers playback with Kat.
How's Power Rangers playback been for you? Just revisiting.
Oh, it's been fun because I've gotten a chance to actually see some of those seasons that we were not a part of, and then actually speak to other cast members from later seasons and all of that. So I've really grown to love some of those, like Time Force and some of these other seasons that I didn't get a chance to. Well, I did have a chance, I just didn't watch it, but I did have a chance to. But now I do, so yeah.
Do you, I mean, you meant, both of y'all two mentioned the appreciation of the stuntmen and stuntwomen that have been on the show. Like, even you guys did your own stunts, like, how was that? Just that whole experience, just doing it, flips, everything.
It was crazy. Yeah, because I wasn't a martial artist, I was a dancer. So for me, it was a little daunting, but I mean, we had such a great team. They made sure we were safe. We normally didn't have a lot of time to learn those fights. Like, we would have 20 minutes, go over there, learn it. And so you would learn segments. But they made it so easy. Like, they would say, you just have to do kick, kick, punch, and then we're gonna move the camera, and then we're gonna do the next part. And then, so you would learn it like that. And, but yeah, it was pretty cool. I'd never done anything like that. And the cool thing is the stunt team really made us look good. I mean, you didn't even touch them and they'd fly. You know, you go like this and they would just, you know. So yeah, it was pretty cool.
That was some of the best times for me was the fighting. That was so much fun. I loved when we got to fight. If you ever watched Zio, we never fought. We never fought at all. Those were all our stunt guys. You never saw us in civilian clothes. I think something had happened after Mighty Morphin, like the kids were chop sueying each other too much. And so they took it away in Zio and then they brought it back for Turbo. So that was some of the best times.
And that's crazy because that was like the most popular part. Like, kids love to see us in that civilian fight. And then the icing on the cake is when we turned into Rangers, and it just went, you know, to another level. So, yeah, who knows? I don't even know what happened, why they did that.
Yeah.
They just, I think it was really like time constraints. Like, they were just trying to, because we would be working right here, and the stunt team would be working right there, and everybody would be racing to the finish line. So, I don't know. That's crazy. I'm glad they brought it back, though. I heard they fight now, the current cast fight.
Do you guys remember the public service announcements we used to do?
Yes.
It was because you guys were beating up each other at home.
Right. We got letters from the network going, you guys, it's too violent. We were like, we're not even touching each other. But we had to go, little kids, don't fight each other. We only fight aliens. We don't fight each other because y'all were kicking each other in the head. You know, kids was going to the hospital. It was not our fault. I was like, little Susie would have kicked her brother in the head anyway. That's just what we do. Eventually, you gotta kick your brother in the head because he's messing with you. But it was all our fault. Sorry, guys.
Both of you two were on Hanging with Mr. Cooper.
Yeah.
Like,
I
Was
wasn't.
you on it?
I wasn't.
I thought you were on it.
No.
Thinking
I
something
did
else.
one-on-one and
One-on-one, I was
and
on
Smart
that.
Guy.
Yeah.
Smart guy. That's why I was thinking smart guy. My bad. Apologies. No, but just both of those being black.
Black sitcom circuit. It was like the chicken
Moesha.
circuit. Yeah.
Yes.
Black sitcom circuit.
No, but-
Kid in the Cab.
They had us all on the CW then too. No, it was WB. It was the WB.
Yes. I appreciate WB and UPN. They paid us some money.
How was it being on both of them? I mean, both of those shows, respectfully, black shows, obviously. But like, how was the experience, even for the episode you were on, and for the wasn't there like a 2-episode arc you had on?
Hang with Mr. Cooper, I think was one, but I was on Steve Harvey. I had like a recurring role on that.
So, I mean, how
no,
was
it was
the experience
great. I mean, these are like comedic greats. Like, I felt like I was in class because I mean, these people were so funny, just naturally funny. And a lot of times they would do a take, and then the next time they did a take, it would be different, but it would still be the same, but it would be totally different way of doing it. So I loved it. I loved working the what is it? What I just call it? The
Comedy chitlin circuit.
the comedy black comedy sitcom chitlin circuit. I loved it. It was amazing. No, but it was like all these people were my heroes too. Like, I really looked up to Holly Robinson Pete, like I'd watched her since I was a kid, and she was on 21 Jump Street. And I mean, it was just like so cool to be around, to be in that realm, and it's amazing.
I had a lot of fun. Moesha, I was only supposed to do one episode, but they liked my character, so they kept bringing me back. And I got to meet some really great. DMX was in one of the episodes. DMX and Aaliyah, when we were filming, we were downtown filming. What was the episode? I don't remember what the episode was called, but he was in concert. So getting a chance to meet them and hanging out with Brandy and everybody. After being there several times, I got to get to know them as people, which was really, really great. Great time. There's not really anything like that anymore, is there? Because WB is gone, UPN is gone.
I mean, it's like it's like the history of television, though. Black shows will come on, will build up the network, and then they get rid of us, and it's like it's just the horrible history. Because I mean, you think about all the networks, like you had, Fox. They had all the Martins and the Living Singles, and then now you don't have any shows that are full black cast. But it was really kind of like a golden era of TV at that point. So I'm glad to have been a part of it.
Y'all both have.
Don't get me political. You thought straight. I know I'm getting like power, fight the power all day. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. This is a Power Ranger panel. Stick to Power Rangers.
No, I mean, look, it's BlerdCon. We can get political here.
It's the vicious cycle of TV. They use us and spit us out. Never mind. Sorry, guys.
Have either one of y'all had a moment of actually having like another celebrity, like just mark out seeing both of you two?
Yeah.
Just like
You'll be surprised.
anyone in particular?
There's a lot of people, but you'll be surprised like how many Power Ranger fans there were. Like I remember once met LL Cool J at a restaurant, and he lost it. It was like, oh my God, I gotta take a picture with you because of my kids, and I'm like, I gotta take a picture with you because you're LL. Oh my God. But no, you'll be surprised. And like we were shooting Power Rangers, it was around the OJ trial, and all the lawyers brought their kids to set. We were like, oh my God, that's OJ's lawyer. Did the glove fit? Like we were dying. We were just like, oh my God. Because what was the lady's name? Marsha Clark brought her kids to our set, guys. It was like in the midst of the OJ trial. Like I was watching it on TV. But like the guy from Kiss, Gene Simmons brought his kid. Like, I mean, it was like people who you never would think are Power Ranger fans are hardcore Power Ranger fans. So
it's amazing. You'll see that at comic convention because you'll be in the green room with these A-list celebrities, and they're like, I watched you, or my kids watch you, and I'm like, really? I watched you? Give me. Yeah, it's very humbling. It's very humbling.
That was our reaction. We were in London, right? And we were like so excited because I think it was our first time doing a Comic-Con in London. And Daniel Radcliffe was there at the show. Yeah. And we were like, oh, we gotta meet Daniel. And they were like, okay, we've set it up. You guys get to take a picture. And we walked up, and right when he saw us and we saw him, he was like, oh my God, I grew up with you guys. And we were like, oh my God, I grew up with you. Like we all turned to like even the guys were like, oh no. I was like, what kind of voice is that coming out? They were fangirling over Daniel Radcliffe. I have it on video somewhere. But yeah, we were like, I mean, Harry Potter, come on. Yeah, so we're big fans just like everybody else.
So y'all ever this, last question. Just, kind of end this off on a good note. Obviously, it's been a good, fun time today. How's everybody? Is everybody enjoying this?
Yeah.
Is it surreal seeing like different generations, like the adults that now they got kids and their kids might have a kid on the way? Like, is that jarring? Because even for me, seeing that, it's like, I was like 9. That's wow. Like, so is that jarring from either of you seeing that just multiple generations that just know
I
you?
think it's amazing. No, it reminds me how old I am, but I don't mind. No, I think it's amazing.
I mind. I was like, no, wait, what? Power Rangers is 30. I'm 30. Damn, there goes that lie. I gotta start telling the truth. Sorry, I'm sorry.
No, I think it's amazing. I think it's a testament to how Power Rangers influenced that little kid, because we will see generations of great grandparents and grandparents and their kids and then their kids. It's generational and it's amazing. Yeah.
I mean, 30 years. Like, it's like, you don't think about it that way, but she's right. When the parents come and they bring the kid, we're like, oh my God, woo, woo, woo. And he's like, the autograph's for me. And you're like, oh, my dad. And the dad's like pushing the kid out of the photo op, and he's like, no, this is my moment. F them kids. This is your moment. We're like, yes, it's your moment. So yeah, but that's where it's crazy, because y'all are older now, and y'all, so yeah, no, it's great. 30 years, yay, Power Rangers!
Well, I appreciate you ladies actually taking the time to let me be able to pick your brain, get some questions on out of here. So yeah, I mean, y'all have any final thoughts, anything to tell the fans?
Thank you guys. This is my first time at BlerdCon. I was so excited to come. I'm in awe.
And it hasn't really begun. This is like the calm before the storm.
I'm excited to see.
I told her, I said, she ain't ready.
But thank you guys for coming to our panel. We're gonna be set up out there all weekend, so come on by, say hello, give us some love. Yeah, thank you.
And if you are ever in the Atlanta area, June 21st through the 23rd, we will be in Atlanta, Ranger Stop and Pop. Follow us. We both have podcasts. Her podcast is Power Rangers Playback. My podcast is the BOP, the Blerd official podcast, which is co-hosted by Christy Renee and Hilton George, who owns BlerdCon. So, guys, we've got flyers. You can come get one, but thank you.
Woo! Thank you for coming out, guys. See you later.